How do you look around our country and lie to yourself that it is well? How can it be well in a country where, in a state as poor as Osun, and I'm using Osun as an example, in a state as poor as Osun, billions are spent on travels and food, and peanuts are spent on education, on tertiary health, on primary health care. It's a fact that in Osun, more money was budgeted and spent on feeding. Feeding in the government house than was spent on universal basic primary education. How does that make sense? And they would ask somebody from that place and he will say it is well. How is that well? As in, make it make sense for me. How do you say it is well where it is obviously not well? A minister comes into the public space and announces that they are spending almost $1 trillion, I believe about 700 and something billion, on renovating an airport. And everybody says it is well. How? What kind of fatalistic surrender to indecent oppression and suppression can that be? How can it be well? In a country where those who are paid to protect the lives of citizens who are victims would carry their guns, turn it on those who are paying them, and murder them without consequences, and you say it is well. How can it be well? What is well about a society where every norm has collapsed? Please, make it make sense for me, because you will sit down in your churches this morning, for instance, and many are praying against principalities and powers, and they are being told from behind the pulpit by persons who are complicit in the evil that has overtaken the country to pray for their leaders. Where are the leaders that you are praying for? And then after the empty homilies, you tell the people that it is well. How can it ever be well if they do not act to make things better? How? Yorubas will say, that the priest must not speak evil. But what if the priest beholds evil constantly? Why should he not speak? How do you find peace when you see this much evil and you say it is well? How can it be well if we're in a democracy and the people's votes count for nothing? And you say it is well. How do you stand behind the pulpit and rail against Satan and his agents and you have nothing to say about the ruiners of Nigeria? How? Who are the principalities and powers if not those who are sat in government offices across the length and breadth of Nigeria? And you say it is well. How? How is it well if men labor from morning till night and they can't even feed like humans? How is it well when people's homes are perpetually underwater? How is it well when the state that should be the one bridging gaps is the one promoting disunity? How? How is it well when the very future of our children are being stolen in our very before? And we are silent and we say it is well. What kind of well? Are you even inside the conga at all to understand that it is not well? What is holding your tongue that you are keeping quiet? What do you mean that it is well? How sustainable is the future that you are building for your children? Where is the sustainable future? Everywhere in the countryside, it's been emptied. We have a major refugee problem on our hands. Some people covet our country. They want it for themselves, and they are driving our people every day into the urban areas, and they are taking over our forest lands. And the state is quiet. And you see this and you say it is well. Every day in the Benue, on the plateau, every part of the middle belt, in the rainforest of the southern part of Nigeria, this blood of citizens, victims of the state, waters the ground, waters the heart of their ancestors. And you say it is well. How? Make it make sense to me, please. How is it well? Are you waiting until when they begin to pick us up from our bedrooms? How is it? How can you continue to sustain the illusion of normalcy and be claiming that it is well? It's obviously not well. Can't you see? What do you mean by it is well? How can it be well? You catch a man on the battlefield pointing his gun at agents of the state, police, army, killed citizens, depopulated the land. You capture them and you claim you radicalize them, then you absorb them back into your military and you say it is well. How? Make it make sense to me that you are de-radicalizing militant Islamists with blood on their hands, whilst their victims are in IDP camps, but you have Nnamdi Kanu in a prison. You can chase Yele Sowore around. You have the energy to be abducting little me in my own office. Please make it make sense for me that towns and villages are becoming desolate because people are running away from them because the state cannot protect them. And you say it is well. How is that well? Make it make sense to me that somebody like Adisirika who committed that is not even corruption again, in public space, before, you brought a jet from Ethiopia, painted here in Nigeria, billions went flying with that, and today, everything is normal, and you say it is well. Oh, please, we talk about billions in subsidy fraud. Who has paid for these? The poor man. You use the fraud to justify the removal of what you call a subsidy. And it is well. As in, like, seriously? You say it is well? What kind of sick society have we built that we have normalized to the point where we say it is well, where it is obviously not well? This is not well. How do you say this is well? People they graduate universities, functional illiterates, and you say it is well. Almost every expert in the medical field who has the opportunity, I warrant that there is hardly any Nigerian doctor who has the opportunity to run away that hasn't run away. Unless you begin to count the likes of Dr. Folasheye, the ENT surgeon in Lagos State. Those are the kind of people who are sacrificially remaining behind. There is no incentive to stay. I was away in America and in Europe the last month. And I remember, I still recall people asking me, why are you going back to that crazy place? But of course, some of us are too mad to take the opportunity to escape. But we will not help you to normalize your life. It is not well. The sooner you all tell yourselves this truth, the better and quicker it might be for us to rescue the future for our children, because we've obviously lost the present. We've lost the present to the point where those who have even known this country no longer feel any need to lie to us. They don't even respect us anymore. They don't even pretend to use their tenders board. Coastal Road, no tenders. No public tender of any sort. Nothing. And what has happened? Everybody quiet. after the initial cackling like ants. And when nothing happened as a result of that, what happened next? Keyamo has come with his own now. So the same airport that they have been renovating, the number of times that Lagos airport has been renovated is an insult to any conscious Nigerian who is still capable of thinking. And then you say it is well. This surrender to reason that makes us, it predisposes us to an acceptance of madness to the point where we have become, all of us have become acculturated to madness. You are in the middle of the insanity. You are experiencing it. You are its victim. And you still continue to say that it is well. When will you come to the knowledge of the fact that it is not well? When? What is well about where we are? Whatever amount you are earning today, the reality is that our currency has been devalued almost to the point of uselessness. You want to buy a car today, I'm not sure that you can buy any car in this country today for less. If it's brand new, I'm not sure you can buy any. Even the Chinese import, you can't get anything for less than 40 million or thereabout. How many Nigerians can ever put that together? If you are working in the public sector and you are not a thief, you can never buy a car in your life. Yeah. If you are working in the public sector and you are not a thief, if you are working in government, in any government institution, if you are not stealing, you can never buy a car in your life. You can never build a house in your life. And you say it is well. What kind of wealth are you talking about? How can it be well when it is obvious that you are inside, you are not even just inside borehole, you are in a fast-moving river that is dragging you to a bitter end, and you say it is well. But then, you know, Hitler proved something as he ascended to power. He proved that even rational persons can become idiots once you can find a cause behind which to unite them. He united the Jews and he united the Germans around the concept of the hatred of the Jew. What are you being united around in Nigeria? Nothing. If anything, they are sowing seeds of disintegration, bigotry, ethnic and religious. You are bang in the middle of all of that, and you keep saying it is well. How can it be well in a country where you all found the peace to move on from the Lekki massacre? Some of you defended it, some of you explained it, some of you rationalized it. You helped them to deny it, even in the face of all of the evidence in the public space. And you say it is well. You say it is well in a country where somebody like Orji Uzor Kalu, convicted and sent to prison, is back in the Senate, sat there as an elder in that Senate. And you say it is well. Akpabio, facing God knows how many counts of stealing by the same EFCC that it today presumes to have oversight function over. The same Akpabio in our National Assembly, I would say that you are offering mic. That is the person sat as the president of your Senate, and you say it is well. How? How can it be well in such a place? I was hauled off into prison for no reason under the sun. But my case was much better than those of the people that I met in the prison. At least I could fight, and you fought for me. You know how many persons have been forgotten in prison? Not just in Ekiti, all over this country. Do you know the kind of condition in which those who have been sent to prison are living? What if I told you that if a person is in a prison in Nigeria, at least I can speak to the one I was in, and he has no outside help, nobody is giving him food, he has no sustenance beyond that which the Nigerian state, this criminal state, has to offer such a person, that person will die within 3 months. If he doesn't die of malnutrition, he will die of some opportunistic disease or the other. That is a fact, not fiction, fact. And there are multiple persons that I left behind in prison who had no business being there for as long as we have the kind of criminals who are ruling us in power. How is the head of the chimpanzee different from that of the monkey? You have criminals in high offices, in judicial offices, in practitioner offices, and you have innocent persons. Innocent persons locked down in prison, in inhumane conditions, and you say it is well. It is not well. Stop lying to yourselves. It is not well. And the sooner you told yourself these truths, the better for all of us. It is delusional to pronounce that it is well in a place where it is as obvious as it is. It is not well. We have a society tottering on the brink if it hasn't fallen already. Normative collapse has already happened. When we were young, if you were going to smoke, you hide yourself somewhere to smoke. Now, every supermarket is selling paper. Every supermarket is selling crusher. Drug addiction has overtaken our society. Prostitution has overtaken our society. People are forced into prostitution by the weaponized poverty of the environment. The youth, left with nothing else to do, are happy to inebriate themselves. And we say it is well. How well can it be if we are in this mess and you say it is well? What kind of future awaits our children? A country is as divided as it is without shooting each other in public yet, and you say it is well. How can it be well in this space the way it is? It is not well. I'm not going to join you in the lies that you have told yourselves. It is not well. But it can be well. But the first step towards any treatment is diagnosis. If you have not come to the point where you are admitting to yourself that it is not well, because it isn't, how are you ever going to get to the point where you are going to fix the problems that are obvious? Exactly what part of our country are you going to look at and indeed, in all honesty, say that it is well? Tell me, where are you looking that you find that it is well? Nigerian music, Nigerian fashion, everything that has gone global today is not a function of any government intervention. And even when you look in those areas, it is not well there. We can be much better than we are. You have illiterate sewing. How well can they support those who are making strides in the fashion world? How many people have been trained as sound engineers, mixers? How many institutions do we have to train people who are able to make money by creating value in institutions, in areas where we have even ignored to build? There are multiple young Nigerians, some of them living right here in Nigeria, but who have become global citizens on account of their capacity to create value even in the midst of our putrefaction. But we need to tell ourselves these basic truths. It is not well. And we have to figure out a way to come out of this. The only way to do this is to recognize that we have to reverse our situation. Reverse? Yeah, it comes from the word revolver. That's the French word for revolution. If this country does not turn around, because that is what a revolution means, not necessarily all those we are shooting guns up and down the place or we are making noise. A revolution is about a people's conscious decision to change their ways. Revolutions are brought about by men of thought who think as men of action. That is not my word. Those aren't my words. Those are Kwame Nkrumah's words. You cannot sit down doing nothing, expecting Voltrons to change our circumstances. Dele Fautimi cannot change your circumstances. You are the ones who are going to have to change your circumstances, and we can only do it as a collective. You need to start building bridges amongst yourselves. All this ethnic, religious bigotry is nonsense. Do not allow yourselves to be distracted by them. Focus on the common good. It begins with you demanding that your vote should count. Those who do not want what is good for you prefer that you focus on your divisions. Focus on the value of your life. Focus on the value of your vote. Focus on ensuring that your vote would count. I believe it was Chino Achebe that popularized the Igbo proverb. Since when Enekep the bird says, since man has learned to shoot without missing, it too has learned to fly without perching. Let me explain myself. The election adjudged as the best election in the history of Nigeria, the one that was held on the 12th of June, 1993. All it had, pen, paper. See, paper. That was all those who conducted that election had. And Nigerians had a will to see change happen. And it happened until it was aborted. So we really do not require all these electronic transmission, this one, IREF, BVAS, before election may be free and fair. But this is where we find ourselves. Our country has been destroyed by impunity, by men who sit down like Yakubu and open their gob in the middle of the night like thieves, which is what they are, and say go to court after declaring travesties as election results. Because of those kind of human beings, we have to demand electronic transmission of results. We have to demand that the beavers work. We have to demand the high-rev function. This is why I support what Randy Peter is doing 110%. And I'm urging each and every one of you. If you truly desire a revolution in Nigeria that is peaceful, that is found on your sovereign will as a collective, you have to demand electoral reform. You have to. In the absence of that, be guaranteed one thing: the next election is already lost. If Jaguda would subvert your will as a candidate, if you are not stupid and you are watching what has been happening in all elections since he assumed office, and you still continue to believe that a coalition of criminal politicians would solve the problem in front of us, then I probably have a gold mine behind my house in which you should come and invest, because it means you are a fool. The obvious reality is that Bulaba has written the election results for 2027 already, regardless of how you may vote, and I will not bother myself in the absence of clear electoral reform. I won't even bother joining in any campaign. Let's be clear about that. So hear me and hear me well. If you are truly desirous of change and you believe that that change should be found through the electoral process, like me, if you have no interest in being forced into fighting either to preserve your own life of that or that those of your loved ones, if there is going to be a peaceful path, if there will be a peaceful path, it has to be through the electoral process, as much as you and I might have lost confidence in that process. But any attempt to embrace that process in the absence of substantive reforms that at least fetters the hands of liars like Yakubu, if he didn't feel that it counted, he wouldn't have continued reassuring you that beavers will work until the last minute. If you must be part of the next election, do so fighting to ensure that there are reforms that ensure that your votes count. In the absence of that, forget about it. Bulaba is not going to show you any mercy. Look to Edo. Yeah. Look to Edo and tell me you expect elections. Everywhere, the behemoth has no care whatsoever for any rule of law or your emotions or any of that nonsense. If you are going to get away from this mess, it will be because you first won the battle to be citizens whose votes count for something.